assets, looking at climate, education, culture. And I think these challenges and opportunities really put a premium on having very diverse, very real conversations around the table.
Equally importantly is making sure the board is fit for purpose. Diversity, composition, the skill sets that are around the table, and how those individuals interact with management on behalf of shareholders.
Certainly at the end of the day, it's management strategy and they have to execute. But the board has a very important role to play in testing that strategy, challenging that strategy, and then once that strategy is adopted, overseeing the implementation and monitoring that strategy.
You can have these outside speakers come and speak about what's changed or what they see out there, and then I like going around the room and saying, what have you noticed? Because it makes everyone own innovation. It's just not up to the management team, but it's everyone together in order to drive change and say, how do we move people forward?
In your executive sessions, there's probably a thought, well, we just don't discuss strategy enough. And I think the lead director can really hold management accountable if that's what you're trying to do.
That a breach of trust is just as damaging to a company's reputation, or maybe even more so, than the actual data breach.
One aspect of this 21st century is, in fact, turbulence, the difficulty of creating barriers that protect us.
There is a long-term positive relationship between the amount of business investment we have and the amount of productivity we have in the future. So this advancement in business investment is really a good thing for not just our current pace of economic growth, but also for future economic growth.
But I think that sometimes the conversation about how there are all these generational differences in the workforce is overstated dramatically, and I think we need to be really careful about saying, hey, look, it's possible that these millennials are going to look a lot more like the rest of us than we thought.
If you're going for broad adoption, if you are operating in markets that are complex, if you are doing anything which is other than a niche product for a niche group, for a small group, you are going to need to understand different perspectives in order to build and in order to serve in the way that people will find relevant and delightful.
Passive is not so passive anymore. Something happened. Something happened in the middle 2000s, I think back in my career, where Vanguard really found its voice. Can you talk about what clicked there?
What we found was there was this absolute mammoth gap, if you will, in what mutual fund companies in general were doing, and we in particular were doing in terms of just our portfolio companies had no idea where we stood on particular issues. They would only hear from us in the middle of a nasty proxy fight. And we just decided that we had to change that dialogue. And I think a lot of it really was driven by this notion that there was way too much short-termism in the marketplace.